So nothing about state secrets or anything, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah.
Wasn't a bad shot, though. I mean, I'll give
No,
that.
I
It
know,
was well
but
drawn.
still, like, what the?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Gundam Seed Destiny. Before anything else, though, we have a couple of comments from the Patreon. First off, we got Fenrir756 from the episode Resurrected Wings. Couple of points. At the end of Seed, the Justice exploded its nuclear reactor when self-destructing to destroy, they say, Genesis. Maybe that is the name of the super weapon. We've been calling it Jashindu since that's the place
The
that was
asteroid where it's, yeah.
Well, I was actually in the asteroid in front of it, but I don't remember them saying the name of the super weapon.
Also the name of the battle of Jashindu, so
yeah.
I guess,
Anyway, so the Justice no longer exists, which, yes, I remember that now. That's been pointed out. The color of a person's seed matches their eye color, so Kira's is purple, Atherin's is green/teal, Kigali's is yellow.
Uh-oh.
What?
Oh. I mean, we didn't know if she was a natural or not.
No, we've seen her seed before.
Yeah, we have?
Yeah, at the end of the movie, yeah. Well, for you, it's the end of the movie. For me, it was the end of the series and the movie. Anyway, that's not why I paused. There is a spoiler in this comment that this literally the next thing I was going to read out. So I'm not going to say it, because I'm not going to spoil you, but I've been spoiled, Fenrir, so keep that in mind. And I guess viewer who's going to watch this when I put the comment up, I'm skipping that one. And Shin's is red.
Yeah, Shin has red eyes, so yeah. You're looking for more spoilers.
No, I'm not. Sorry, I didn't pre-read this comment, and now in the middle, at the very end of the comment, Fenrir is explaining that you need to order these better, Fenrir. You should probably give this explanation first. I'm not going to read this out, though. I think the explanation might hold, but it's still too much. I'm not going to... Yeah, this will be there for the viewer when you watch this on YouTube or on Patreon or whatever. The Atlantic Federation is a government that is a member of the Earth Alliance and is the primary driving force behind the Earth Alliance's actions, especially after the destruction of Josh A, Alaska, where the Eurasian Federation lost a significant number of its forces. Which is something that I've brought up a lot.
Was in the movie.
Yeah, because I didn't feel like the movie covered it enough.
No, they did. Well, yeah, but they did say in the movie they did that on purpose.
Well, like, they don't actually say that in the show, so I don't think they say that in the movie. But they cover a lot of which faction's forces are their majority versus which ones are missing. So, while the Zala faction, which may or may not exist, would have reason to hate Lacus, as Theta says, Durandal has a more pressing motive to have Lacus killed, as if Lacus moved to the plants while Mir was impersonating Lacus, that would significantly undercut his credibility with the rest of the Plant Supreme Council and with the general public of the plants.
Thank you, Fenrir, for preempting one of my notes.
Actually, I have See, as I said, I didn't pre-read this.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was there, but I actually already have a note that argues against this, too. So, funny that you have a note that says this, so you would have been arguing against me anyway, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
If I say mine first, otherwise I'll be arguing against you. Fun fact, Yazek has the same voice actor as Gilgamesh in Fate Zero.
It's...
a thing I used to do for the channel, and I was thinking about doing again, but I haven't gone into it, was I had a voice actor Hall of Fame building of voice actors that have played multiple characters in shows that we've watched.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing, you might never guess this, a concept board for it.
Oh.
Well, the thing is, the concept board is the easiest thing for me to do, because I used to do, like, the character rankings on, like, Roll20. Because it was easy to just put faces up there and put them in a ranking chart, and then I just don't fucking understand how to use Roll20 anymore. So concept board is real easy, so I can just do a lot of the It's like a whiteboard for me. It's an
Yeah.
easy to use whiteboard.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next up we have Master Detective from the Patreon from the episode Resurrected Wings. My couple of points. Sorry, I didn't realize back to back I had two. Here's my points things, but everyone knows about the Freedom and what it looks like because of the legendary feats during the war. The Freedom is like the world's Superman.
Pretty much. And even it's even blue and white, so yeah. Mostly blue. Well, mostly white actually. I'm looking at the back of it, but yeah.
While looking at frame 0 of the show.
Yeah. Mm.
Not that many people know that the Freedom is actually piloted by Kira, or who Kira is to Lacus, or who Kira is to Kigali. To expand on this, no one in the Earth Alliance would know since Kira's defection from them by the time he has the Freedom. Most zaft people know someone stole it, but don't know who either. Realistically, only Lacus faction people could know, as some of those folks helped give him to him, assuming they even know who Kira is, or just thought he was some guy.
I mean, I'm sure the people in the higher echelons of zaft / the plants know.
No, that's the direct argument that's being made here.
Oh.
That's why they said the Lacus faction, even though I call it the Seagull faction all the time.
Yeah.
Because they were the zaft members that gave it to him. The argument here being that the zaft people don't know. It's just the people that were working with Siegel Klein would know, because they're the ones that gave it to him.
No, but it didn't. Sala had a video showing Lacus.
Didn't show Kira's face.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember if that comes up during the movie. So I remember I brought it up very specifically that when Patrick is having a conversation with Athrun. So you can see why I can't use the word Zala there.
Yeah. Sala
he's having a conversation there, and they're bringing it up, and he's showing the video as proof that Lacus has betrayed them. You've got the guy standing there next to Lacus, and it doesn't go to any part where it shows Kira's face, which is why Athrun doesn't know in that moment that Kira is still alive. Because if he had seen Kira's face, he would be like, oh, it's fucking Kira. How's he fucking alive? I killed him.
Yeah. Sala told Sala that someone stole the Gundam, and Lacus was the one behind it, but didn't tell him that Sala's best friend was the one that stole it, because that would mean that Sala would know that he actually didn't kill his best friend.
Well, I mean, the point there is I think that Zala didn't tell Zala who was piloting the Gundam. So he wouldn't have known to have argued that Zala's best friend was still alive, and that Zala hadn't killed Zala's best friend. A derivation from the above point is that Shin doesn't know who Kira is, or that he's the pilot of the Freedom. To him, he's just some guy he met at the gravesite.
I mean, that makes more sense. Although I think he would was the Freedom. No, the Freedom was after the Battle Orb, right?
During.
Yeah.
It comes down during the Battle of Orb.
Yeah, so
he would recognize the Freedom. Yeah.
Freedom, but not recognize Kira.
That was as per our whole discussion about where the blast comes from that kills his family.
Yeah.
And I almost forgot to mention, to the previous point, that obviously Yuna knows Kigali's relationship to Kira.
Yeah, he calls him brother, basically.
Right, and that we know a large number of Orb officers know about the Freedom. So there might be connection there between the Orb higher echelons about who pilots the Freedom. And then conceivably the whole Batcave discussion that we had about where the damn thing is and who put it there. Opinions / thoughts. I personally found it fun that the episode after Shin goes seed and reveals himself to be an ace pilot, we see Kira going into seed and re-entering the battlefield. Arthur even compares the two while discussing Shin's feats. Perhaps this is the most obvious take of all time, but I like how the show is probing us to compare and contrast them.
Yeah. I also have a note on the Shin side of things on that one. When I was watching, I noticed, that Kira's eyes had gone spaced out. So clearly he was into seed mode, right? When he was blasting the mobile suits.
Well, they showed him going to seed mode.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's two, but I have more notes on Kin and his seed mode and not on Kira because it's just Kira being Kira, right?
Well, I can tell you, I don't have any notes about Shin going seed mode because it wasn't noteworthy to me.
Yeah.
We've seen it before.
Yeah. But I think this, because it was something that you mentioned that you thought should have happened based on what happened with the Orb fleet. And that's why I put a note on that.
Well, I'll argue that when we get there. And lastly, Fenrir756 from the Patreon from episode Flight to Tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving, Lessons and Theta. Everything that has been going on with Kigali and Destiny so far is one of the major criticisms of Destiny that is commonly leveled against the show. The general consensus is that how Kigali has been portrayed so far and how she will be portrayed for most of Destiny was character assassination. While Theta is absolutely correct that Kigali is completely unprepared for being the chief representative, the way she has been acting so far is not in line with who her character was in Seed. Kigali in the first season would not let Yuna walk all over her like he has been, and is intelligent enough to see through Yuna's attempts at manipulation. In the political situations where Kigali is unprepared to act properly, she should be reacting passionately and angrily at how the Sirens are trying to make Orb betray its principles, and be smart enough to know that joining the Earth Alliance could force Orb's participation in the current war. To summarize, as Theta said, Kigali is a girl of action, but she has been completely passive and made stupid to allow Yuna to badger/manipulate her and allow the Sirens to effectively take control of Orb. On a separate note, I find it hilarious how Theta raged at Lacus for flirting/falling in love with Kira while she was technically still Atherin's fiancée, and now Kigali is technically guilty of doing the same with Atherin, now that it has been retroactively established that she has been in an arranged marriage with Yuna since they were children, but Theta was all for Kira kidnapping Kigali if he was bringing her to Atherin. More seriously, I cannot believe that Uzami Nara Atha would ever agree to arranging Kigali to marry with someone like Yuna, who doesn't actually care for her, and I could never see Kigali from Seed Season 1 ever agreeing to an arranged marriage with someone like Yuna.
Agree, and agree.
I have arguments about the first part.
The part that actually directly calls you out on that, I don't think that's accurate, though.
Which part? I'm being called out the whole way. I don't know.
No, but there's a specific where you say, about the arranged marriage thing, because, Juna didn't exist as a character. They didn't exist. It's, he could have made the arrangement and thought, later on he could have canceled it, right? It's like, whatever, I want to make the arrangement, but I don't have to follow through, right? But because he died, he couldn't really, give his daughter a way out, right? So he's gone. She has to deal with the aftermath. And she's like, I need to bring peace to my people. This is the best solution politically.
I remember the arranged marriage in Season 1 was Flay and Sai. And they just fucked off, right? So clearly you can just fuck off an arranged marriage.
Of course, yeah.
But my thing is also I don't recall rooting for the kidnapping.
No, yeah, that part too. I don't think you were. I was.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a case of people thinking I'm you, but we have titles under our windows, so
yeah.
I don't know. I've been falling heavily into a defending Yuna camp for some reason.
I don't know why.
I don't know either. Because I feel like there's elements there that's not like black or white. Like he is a developed character in some sense that he's not like, mustache twirling bad guy. He is he has elements there that make me think he's not 100% either way. Like, I watched the episodes and I'm getting angry while I'm like writing my notes about Yuna, and then there's scenes where I'm like, I think he actually does care. I don't, you know? So
I don't see it.
yeah, like I'm saying, there's a subtlety there that I think is present, but there also they occur during the scenes where you're like yelling at how much of a pissant and a baby boy he is. So it's like I can see where you're coming from, and if I was watching this by myself, I might agree with you. But I think there's elements of my
Contrarianism?
yeah, the contrarianism that's in me that not only wants to argue the point as just an opposite viewpoint, but I'm actually seeing it. Not, I think something I wouldn't see if I wasn't trying to argue with somebody. I would be just saying your viewpoint, but the part of me that wants to argue is also seeing that there might be truth in this. So again, I understand
Fair
why
enough.
people would hate Yuna, and I do mostly hate the guy, but I don't think conversation that comes up a lot with Mushoku Tensei, for example, can a character be redeemed? I think there's an element of his character that is not 100% bad guy. I think there is an actual person in there, and I think he could be redeemed. If events play out in a very specific way that would allow him to see things differently, or expose us to bits of his backstory that are not so much Murta gets slapped by a coordinator as a child, now he's evil forever from season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Asriel. I was saying his last name for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And as for the arranged marriage thing, I mean, if they were arranged marriage as a kid, you know, you don't look at baby Hitler and say, that kid's problem, you know? I don't think that's how it works. You don't look at baby Yuna and say, don't like that kid. For some reason, I don't like that kid.
Bring me the flamethrower. I'm not liking that kid.
Yeah, so as a clearly arranged political marriage, it's probably just, you know, I've got a 3-year-old girl, you've got a 4-year-old boy, let's just hook them up. They'll join our
He's a little
families.
bit older than that. I think he's like 20 or 21.
I'm just making it. Yeah, I don't think he's 4 years old. I don't know what you're pulling out here, Lessons.
Yeah.
I said the arranged marriage is children. So I said,
yeah, no, but you said,
are you saying that I think Kigali is 3-year-old?
Yeah, and 4-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy. And I don't think the difference is just 1 year. I think it's a couple more years.
You also just added an age to what I said. I said 3-year-old girl, 4-year-old boy. You said 4-year-old girl, 5-year-old boy.
Yeah. Either way, 1 year difference.
Yeah, I'm just giving an example that as children of negligible age,
yeah,
you can set them up together, not knowing how they'll develop into adults. The idea is to join the families together, not I actually care what my daughter's feelings on this are. For one, I'm an adult and she's too young to have a thought.
Which is very exploitative if you think about it.
Well, it depends on where in the world you are. We just had a whole discussion yesterday about different countries and cultures. And there's plenty of countries in the world where arranged marriages are still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think either of us wants to get into a fight about different cultures of the world.
Anything else?
Now I'm scrolling down my list of stuff. Next up, though, obviously we got the board, where I thought about it for a while. I once again had to move Atherin from one side of the board to the other side of the board, which is slowly becoming a pain in the ass the more people he comes into contact with.
He's clearly zaft now, so
it's literally like holding a rubber band between your fingers and just moving it side to side constantly. Just stop knowing so many people, Atherin.
Oh, he is a principal character. I don't think he's a main character, clearly, but he's a principal character.
Well, I mean, it's a... God, my brain does not want to use words today. I was going to say entourage, but that's not right. It's an ensemble.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, in my brain, Entourage was also an ensemble show.
True. So you put him back on staff, right? Okay.
You're looking at the board.
Yeah, but I want to make sure I find him.
Well,
Yeah, he's down
remember,
there.
as always, you can Control F and just type someone's name.
I usually forget those. I'm very bad with shortcuts. Horrible with shortcuts.
I use Control F and like fucking everything. So
the only thing shortcut that I know is how to do an ñ, with the tilde on top, and Control V. That's it.
Oh, see, I don't know that first one, but I grew up on like Windows 98 and shit. So Control A, Control X, Control C, Control V. Control X is cut, by the way. Control C is copy. Control V is paste. Control A is select everything.
Yeah, that should be very useful when I need it, which I usually don't use it. And you tell me, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And then when I'm going to do, it's like,
well, yeah, that's just what I'm used to.
Job von Arafas. I guess that's the leader of the, well, not SAF. We're not really sure. Again, I have notes about that.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, so there's that.
Well, you mentioned that you were already on the clearly it's zaft is trying to kill Lacus side, so I figured you would be arguing that guy should be in zaft instead of unknown, like I put him there.
Yeah. At least I think he might be more, at least in the beginning, on the Sala faction. The thing is,
Same guy who also said Sala faction, if it even exists.
Yeah. I mean, we clearly have a mention of the Sala faction, so at least there's a claim that is independent, maybe. The question is how independent, and that's kind of my note goes into that a little bit, So tentatively I would put him in the Sala faction until more evidence. Because
My note would also disagree. My note would also disagree that he would be Zaft or Zella.
Yeah. I think I would put him on the Sala faction temporarily until we have more evidence either way.
Well, I think that's a weird thing to do. You're saying that we don't know which side he's on, so put him in one of the two and tentatively. Except that I have this whole unknown side, which is kind of feels like that's what this is for. We're uncertain which side he's on, so he's an unknown side.
That's a very long name. Dalida Lolaha Chandra II.
Not that long.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of vowels. I mean, my name is probably longer than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. If not for my last name being only 3 characters long, my name would be about as long as his. Except mine doesn't have numbers.
Yeah, that mine has numbers either. It would have added for. Actually, no. In my direct family, nobody has numbers in their names. I knew brothers who had, first, second, third, So either he has brothers or his father. I guess his father would be.
Yeah, without the numbers, his full name is only 3 letters short of my name. And again, my last name only has 3 letters in it. So.
Yeah, no, I have. If I were to go full Latin, Spanish last name would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6. That joke about people who have Latin names, or not Latin, but really Spanish last names are very long. That is actually true, But and no titles, because if I had any titles, which I don't, thankfully, it would even be longer, So yeah, the board. I think really the only aspect that Job von Arafas, which that von, I mean, it could be just sci-fi anime naming convention, but that von, kind of suggests nobility of some sort, Germanic nobility.
I mean, you don't have to be noble to have von in your name.
True, and he's a coordinator, so.
I mean, if you were going to go heavy conspiracy theory, you could say, if he has Vaughn in his name, that denotes some sort of Eurasian bloodline or, whatever. Germanic, and then you lean back to the Atlantic Federation and what they did at Josh A to the Eurasian Alliance.
Yeah.
But that would also invoke that names have meanings beyond just being your fucking name. You know, that whole idea that if your last name is Baker, you're going to get into baked goods.
Okay. I also had an idea that it should have ended about Durandal, because I was thinking about last night or the night before.
I'll say I did my notes some first episode last night, second episode this morning.
So yeah, which is which I have a whole note about reality versus.
You think the show takes place in the Matrix?
No. I'm talking about what specifically Durandal was saying to Arthur, right? What's in a name? What's a real? Whether Alex was the real person or
is Arthur actually a dinosaur? I get you.
No. That's not what I meant. But still, yeah. I know.
I can't pilot the Gundam with these short arms.
So yeah, that's all that I want to know about that, because everybody else we know there's really nothing new except connections.
Except for all those new people who have added to the board.
Yeah, but those are that's the crew of the Archangel. So, and even all of them are not really all new. I mean, we know Watfield, we know Murray, Ramus.
We literally know all of them.
Yeah, so they're really not new.
So I think I can make probably like a collage of the board over time and how it keeps changing, and every time you keep coming back, like nothing's changed. Like all these lines moving all over the place. Looks the same to me.
Yeah, but they don't, how can I say this? They don't stand up to me. I mean, Myrna probably is an even bigger surprise. Oh, you didn't include...
except that she was in season 1, too.
Yeah, but she didn't appear in the movie, so... There is one person missing, I think, although he should be on unknown. The caretaker for the kids, who I think is related to Kira. You didn't put it on the board. Where is she?
The caretaker for the kids.
That's not the other woman.
The other woman.
Yeah, the one that you notice had purple hair.
The one that everybody tells me is related to Kira's biological mother, and yet nobody can point out to where the show says that. I mean, I know you cheated and looked it up on the wiki, so we know where you've gotten that from. But somebody else posted it on. Somebody else posted it on the. I think it was probably Fenrir, actually.
Yeah.
Posted it on the Patreon, and I said, "Tell me where that happens. Just tell me where that happens, and I'll let it go." And Fenrir was like, "I don't remember. I don't remember where it happens. Although I'm sure it's said." And you know what? I've watched it twice now, TV version and movie version, and I don't remember it. I'm waiting for it to come up in season 2 and everyone will be like, shit, we were spoiling the whole time.
Yeah. So she's down here.
So that is an opening for everybody in the comment section to point out where it said that she is that woman's sister, because I don't remember it. And it's perfectly well and good for you to know, but if you can't tell me, then I don't know if I've actually missed it.
Is this civilian box? Well, no, I guess not, because you repeat Birdie twice, so I guess there's no civilian box for Destiny yet.
No, welcome back to a conversation we had about the board a number of times ago.
Yeah.
About back when you were saying, I don't understand why Destiny is sitting above Seed, because of all your other ones, you put that shit below it. And I said, oh, yeah, because I've got this whole civilian thing down here on the bottom.
But yet, that's the case. You still repeat things like Birdie twice.
I'm sorry, is Birdie down here in the civilians? Guess he is. Well, I guess you're right. That's because I just literally forgot to bring his mom up here. That's all.
Yeah. Anywho, that's the board. unless you have anything else to say about it.
No, I do not. All right, so we have notes. The difficult thing to parse is what the state of Orb was when Azumi was in control of it, by which I mean the politics of race. It seems accepted that coordinators and naturals lived side by side in Orb prior to and during the war. Then the Atlantic Federation attacks, creating refugees of all types and spreading the two sides across Earth and the plants. Of course, Azumi... Sorry, my notes sometimes confuse me. Of course, Azumi, whatever ruling council that was there, also chose to kill themselves in an explosion. I'm left to wonder if it was Azumi's force of will that kept the country intermingled, or integrated, as the case may be, or if there was an underlying racism at play that thus far went unseen in Orb. And that is what is being represented by the Sirens. Their willingness to throw their own coordinator civilians under the bus seems all too sudden. I suppose perhaps there could also be an element that they are the representatives that survived whatever political cleansing that happened after the Atlantic Federation occupied them the first time. Considering the anti-coordinator sentiment during the war, all the allusions I've made in the past to what happened to the natural refugees that found themselves on ships to the plants. But this time, what happened to all the coordinators that stayed behind in Federation-controlled Orb? That maybe the Sirens capitulated, or worse, to the worst demands of Blue Cosmos, and know from that recent history what is expected of them by this new Atlantic Federation partnering?
Yeah, I have a note about that as well. Although it's more of what they will do based on what Yuna is saying. And but yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it before that I felt that these might have been people that were elevated during the occupation, right? With the local face to Orb of the Alliance's rule over Orb, right?
I know
That's
I
very
all
often
too often bring this up, and I'm really trying to stop, but it is a monumental element of human history. What was the French government during Nazi occupation?
Vichy government.
Yeah,
Vichy government.
That's the allusion to which I'm trying to draw here, that this is the Vichy government, and they retained power after the end of the war.
Yeah.
With so the recognition that the Atha line is still in control, but they maintained their positions of authority, and that they are just getting ready to be occupied again, essentially, knowing what the outside force is expecting of them.
Yeah. So I think it's I don't know if I should. I'll wait to get to my note because I think it's important to sort of discuss. Because
don't worry, I'm sure that a lot of my notes are going to double down on things that you'll say too. But so just wait and do yours when you feel yours is appropriate.
Because mine is more focused on what Juna himself is saying and what he might do.
Well, that's where this thought originally comes from.
Yeah.
That car conversation where he says, I have nothing against coordinators personally. But he's like, we're naturals, we're different. And that's where I'm like, where is this coming from? And then the idea of how do you go from being an intermingled coordinator natural state to one that is separating itself out? Where do these people come from to have existed in that previous environment under Gigali's dad to be still here now? That's like, maybe they are the product of that invasion.
Also, it's very interesting. Yuna says, including your brother, the brother of yours, but he also says, I'm a natural and you are a natural, even though we know that Kigali is in fact a coordinator. Huh?
We don't know that.
Well,
we don't know the source of seed is. That's the thing. We don't know where seed comes from. Like, is it a new type thing where people can just develop it? Or is seed the product of the coordinator process? Because not all coordinators have it either.
True. But we only seen it on coordinators.
Right, but we have a very limited
And there's another note about that, which has to do with Durandal, which I'll talk about when it comes up.
Yeah, most of the thing that I brought up before, that we had a limited we had a limited sample size of characters, and that all like 100% of these guys have been this. Well, yes, but your 100% is from a sample size of 2. So it's like, sure, it is true now, but I don't think it's going to hold up to be true forever.
Yeah. Just because you've never seen an albino raven doesn't mean that it'll exist.
Right. Especially if your sample size is all the ravens in your house, which might be 1 because you have a pet raven. You know?
Yeah.
I think Kigali was said to have been a natural, but again, the element of we weren't familiar with her backstory vis-a-vis Kira's backstory at the time.
Yeah. So
it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Anyway, to my note, and either way I do it on like Theta, I separate them by paragraphs. That's also the reason why I don't want to do what I did the last time, which I was jumping back and forth and was confusing, at least to me. So I separated by episode.
I'll say that sometimes when I'm just doing editing, I'll have a thought that pops up into me. I'll open the notepad real quick and jot it down, and then come back. Which is nothing to do with the episode order.
Yeah. So I'll start with Chapter 13, Resurrected Wings. Chin describes the seed state, my name for it anyway, as one not of anger but clarity. The captain also comments that Durandal knew about this state, and that is why it is Chin and not Rey who pilots the Gundam. Arthur responds that Durandal is a DNA specialist. Considering what happened to the last such specialist we saw in the series, Destiny, this does not bode well. In other words, my feeling is that Durandal has been conducting experiments or has knowledge of them enough. He has enough experience to know, okay, there's certain markers I'm looking forward to, which kind of to me reinforces the idea that, yeah, at least coordinators are all the people that can do the seed state.
I have exactly the same note, so I think I'm going to read mine, and then we can discuss the implications between both of our notes. So I guess the implication is that between Shin and Rey is the better mobile suit pilot, thus Talia's question as to why Shin was assigned to the Impulse. But she also lays out that Durandal might have known about Shin's seed potential ahead of time, implying what? That he's keeping tabs on a whole hell of a lot of soldiers to see which of them might have that potential? Even if he is a DNA specialist, that seems unlikely, given how many people he'd presumably have to keep track of if he was in that case. I'd then have to wonder if Shin might not be another Kira, engineered to be this way, thus Durandal would know to keep an eye on him specifically. Even Rao didn't know exactly who Kira was until he met him, despite knowing of the perfect coordinator's creation. So it doesn't seem impossible for more of that to have been done, without everyone being clear as to who the resulting people turned out to be, especially if they managed to get lost in a refugee situation. As an aside, also remembering that Rey and Durandal are close enough that Rey has a pet name for the chairman.
Oh, I think simple DNA screening would be something that would be enforced by everyone, because it's very difficult to tell.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's very difficult, at least for me as a viewer, to tell, oh, that guy's a coordinator, that guy's a natural. So there must be genetic markers, right, to distinguish coordinators from natural, right? They are genetically improved, after all, right? And not just birth records. If, for example, you join the military, right, or you're coming from Orb, where they are coordinators, you're just like, oh, we're just going to run genetic screening. And if he has special knowledge as a DNA specialist, he might have said, okay, these are the factors that go to being a natural coordinator. How about these other DNA factors, right, that other people might not screen for, but he might screen for, right? It's like, okay, give me those results, and I run them through my program, right? And I don't have to tell anybody because I'm determined, right?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I was going to argue when I interrupted you and then I said keep going, I was going to say that it depends on what the level of information being given is to anybody in Zaft, right? if he wants people to know about who his seed capable, he has to kind of share that information to then be able to look for these people. Because I don't assume that the one guy at the top who has all these other responsibilities is also going to be able to sift through the entire genetic code of every soldier in the army, or anybody for that matter in the plants. But if your implication is that he gives this information to a certain amount of people who are looking for gene sequences and he's not telling them why, that's still an indication that there's a number of people who knows that he's looking at gene sequences for some reason. And I don't know. There's also the implication that Walt Field identified Kira early on in season 1. Not early on, halfway into season 1, end of first arc, end of beginning of second arc, as the ultimate coordinator, as a berserker, technically, I think is what he says. So there might be an indication there that there's something known about this. See, the problem I'm having is that we're also entering into Mobile Suit Gundam, where they're starting to talk about new types and who does and doesn't know about the concept of new types. The idea that this is something that's spreading out that it doesn't seem like the people of Minerva actively know about. Like, oh, you're just as good as that guy, but I don't know why, that kind of thing. So it just seems to me unlikely that Durandal is screening everybody for seed potential. It seems more likely to me that he might know that Shin is this way for other reasons, a la Rao from the first season. That Rao was familiar with the testing facility that gave birth to these people. That if Durandal was familiar with such a thing, he might be on the lookout for very specific people rather than screening everybody for the possibility.
I mean, you still have to very least match records, because that
was the point that I said about people getting lost in a refugee situation. That he might know how to track down somebody. Oh, but fuck, they got lost in a refugee scenario because the Atlantic Federation invaded Orb.
There's another thing also, the fact that I do believe the satellite or the base where they found that information was destroyed, that area after they fled.
I think it got destroyed. I'm pretty sure it's still there.
So Durandal could have been part of that program. Oh, he's too young.
Is he? I hate bringing this up, but Japanese people age weird.
I mean, anime, they're kind of hard to tell age. He might not be that young, actually. Although the way he behaves is more of a sort of very.
Dude could have had plastic surgery for all we know.
Yeah.
Maybe that grin isn't because he's actually grinning. Maybe that's like Botox.
Yeah. Or he, during or after the war, he discovered the place, got the data. Like, oh, maybe he actually literally has a list of potential candidates, right?
Could be dumber than that. Could be that Rao never got the information himself. That Rao got the information from Durandal. And Durandal is just an off-screen season 1 compatriot.
Yeah. Although it seemed, no. Let's leave it at that, because if I try to add more information, stuff that is just I'm coming up with that has no bearing whatsoever, because I have no way to put fact. The series doesn't back it anyway, so I'm gonna hold off on.
I got no problem throwing out wild hypotheticals.
Yeah, not yet, but I will. So, your next note.
Quite the juxtaposition for Ramius to have to abandon Orb and leave for the plants. All the others that were living at the house are former Zaft citizens, but Ramius is a former Alliance officer, and before her defection to a third party, she was fighting Zaft the entire time. At the end of the day, this new Federation might be the real antagonist and derivative of the Alliance that killed her love interest, but Zaft hasn't exactly been a welcome figure in her life either.
No. I have a note about that, but I do think that it's more of... I mean, remember what Watfield says to her? It's like, oh, Chairman Durandal seems like a the good sort, right? But we also know that there's still lingering, well, not lingering, reignited hatred for naturals in the plant. So she's showing up. Again, how do you tell a coordinator? Because in that same battle scene was like, oh, they're coordinators. Like, okay, how do you know? You just because she was killing them left and right, and so if the coordinators are supposed to be that special and that physically superlative, she had no problem killing them, right? So yeah, the line between coordinator and natural. I mean, in the first season was like, okay, they have the reaction speeds and all that to operate the Gundams or mobile suits. The other side doesn't, so we have to use software or drugs to compensate. But now it's like, oh, these guys are special forces. They should have. I haven't known about that.
It's like when you get into fighting games, right? And you have a DC fighting game where everyone has to be able to match up to Superman. It's like, okay, how does Batman fight Wonder Woman? It's like, the grappling hook really shouldn't work against Wonder Woman.
Because even if you say, oh, she's trained, right? Yeah, if you're supposed to be a superior person with superior speed, agility.
The real shit take here is the fact that they actually call them elite operatives or specialists or something like that. So it's
special forces.
Yeah, because my takeaway was, well, maybe the shittiest coordinator is on the same level as the best natural.
Civilian.
And then they said,
civilian,
well, she's not a civilian. She's former military herself. But I'm just saying, well, because remember, Lacus has the whole discussion about, I'm not zaft. I'm just a civilian of the plants. But, but the fact that they also throw out that these are like specialists, and it's like, well, fuck. You've taken away my only out.
The first scene of both the movies and the series is a bunch of coordinators coming in and wiping out the floor with all the or most of the the natural defenders to steal the Gundams, right? Oh yes, it's an elite team and all that, but still, they put a token resistance sometimes.
Not mostly with grenades, team, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
in the first episode or in the first movie, those aren't elites. Those are green rank, which is the lowest rank in the military.
Yeah.
Because it's the other guys that die, which are higher rank than them.
Yeah.
But they're not main characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's plot armor.
So they still wipe out quite a bit of them. So it's like now it's like, I guess there's a special anti-coordinated fighting technique that will almost always work. I don't know.
Yeah, it's called guns.
Yeah. No, but she actually kicks the guy in the face first. And
from
then
around the corner.
Still, right? Again, if he's supposed to have faster reflexes.
Like I said, plot armor.
Yeah, so there's that. So that was your note. My note is this one is just a single. Both of them, I'm going to talk a lot of Juna in these notes. One is a single sentence. The more power he gets, the more smug Juna gets. It's a reference to when he's talking to Kigali.
Watch your language.
No, that's
the thing. That would be my example in the car. Where she basically tells him what he wants to hear, and he's like, "This is how you should have said that. Watch your language."
Yeah, and also when he is, because he has a mega smug face. When Kigali's like, "Oh no, my father," and she's having the flashbacks and all that in front of the tomb. It's like, we've been here, but I've been here a long time. We should redecorate. I'm like, you stupid son of a.
Well, he didn't say redecorate. He wants to give them graves that are worthy of their being, implying that this shared site's not worth of them.
Yeah, but it's like, but the way he said it was like.
Yeah, again, this is what I have a hard time with, the whole that there might be more to Yuna than we're seeing, and you want to shit on him constantly about the very minorest of things. By the way, an hour or two of why Yuna's a bad character. Smugness.
Yeah.
I will say I do have also a lot of notes about Yuna as well. Alright, my next one. I suppose you'd have to ask the question, why would soldiers kill themselves rather than be taken alive? To which I imagine there are a number of reasons. I only listed two for some reason. Belief in a cause could push soldiers to extreme ends of zealotry, like whatever information they have on the cause being more valuable to them than their own lives. Or threat that capture could be worse than death, if they believe that this group is working for Orb and that Orb is joining with the Federation, or that they are just with the Federation, then it's possible that the anti-coordinator sentiment could lead to inhumane prisoner treatment rumors.
I have a note about that as well. But yeah, I think, and that's one of the reasons why I think they may be part of the Sala faction, because the Sala faction was willing to, not only kill, they were willing to fight to the very end to achieve their goals.
Yeah,
down to the last guy.
I still disagree with you there, but I will.
Yeah.
I say I include the hiding information as a reason to kill yourself rather than capture.
Yeah.
Who you're working for is in that information category.
Yeah. So my next note, which is again about Yuna. Yuna's words about, and this kind of goes to what some said earlier, about not allowing coordinators, including Kira, in Orb, while he denies that he is a racist, sound awfully close to Blue Cosmos ideals to me. Opinion. He may use different reasoning that they're their political liability. The question remains, how do you deal with possibly thousands, if not millions of people? Exile, incarceration, genocide, right? Because it has that thing of final solution.
Forcibly moving an entire population of a specific type of population is also a war crime.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be genocide. I'm just adding information. Genocide isn't the only
exile.
Yeah. Well, I think you also said something else that is the same thing too.
Incarceration. Yeah.
Well, no, I thought you said something else that was also essentially evacuating an entire population forcibly. But yeah, I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be genocide to be a war crime. If you force an entire population out of their homes and to forcibly move them somewhere else, that's also a war crime.
Yeah, it's part of what's called ethnic cleansing, which can include all three, right? Which makes it a war crime, not just genocide.
Yeah, I mean, we're not disagreeing. That's what I'm saying. I was just adding to, because we've discussed this before, especially during. You weren't here for it, but during season 1, they had a tribunal against Kira. I think they did a part of that in the movie, but I went on a long tangent about what's a war crime and who's guilty of what here. Well, I mean, I went to the UN website and the what's the UN court thing?
Well, there are two courts: the International Court of Justice and the International Court of something other. I don't remember.
Either way, I went to I went to both websites to determine what legally and by a notation by the United Nations is war crimes, and then I did my whole bibliography. I did a whole thing, mostly because I was off of Griffin, who always kept asking for sources for shit. So I was reading them out. So I'm just saying I'm adding to, because we've been here before in the series.
Yeah.
Was that everything? Okay.
Yeah.
Yuna going on about Kigali forgetting about Athrun, and Athrun with a mirror in the opening is a fairly ominous towards what might happen. But I think I often lean more towards Seed's outro to suggest to me what will happen. And in this first ending set, Athrun and Kigali are standing near each other, with a mirror in the background with the maintenance crew. In our current ending, it's still Athrun and Kigali, with the mirror only showing up back to back with Lacus.
I mean, that imagery kind of still fits. I mean, they're still have feelings for each other. They might get together at some point or reunite, hopefully soon rather than later. But still, mirror is still a factor in that thing.
Well, no, sorry, I have another thing coming up, which is a breakdown of the opening, but I also mentioned the ending again somewhere else in my notes. And specifically, I think it's more so that I'm indicating towards a tie between Lacus and Mir, which is obviously more than one's impersonating the other. Not to say that she has anything to do with the continuing relationship cycle.
I'll go to my note next, which is about coordinators, especially the attack on the mansion. If the coordinators called by Watfield Coordinator Special Forces that attacked the mansion managed to penetrate Orb defenses, a nation with an extensive navy that actively patrols their waters, either they're extremely capable, well, not either, because there's more to it than that. There's three things, so not either or. 1, they are extremely capable. 2, their mobile suits are top of the line. Or 3, they had help. Murdering Lacus only benefits one person, Durandal. With Lacus dead, Mir would have no rivals, and his control over the plant's population would be assured. The fact that these were suicide commanders just compounds this connection. And the plausible deniability category.
I'm
right?
gonna have to skip down my list of notes to read my direct counter to this one, since this is, I feel like, where they come up together. Because there's a fourth option there they didn't list. I'm just gonna read mine, and then we can debate back and forth.
Okay.
Just to float an idea, I know Waldfield said that the mobile suits that attacked them were new Ash types that only the regular military should have, but consider the inciting incident of the season was the theft of mobile suits. For me, that doesn't put the idea of a false flag operation by another motivated parties beyond the realm of what is possible. I think I said it during last recording, but the first person I would suspect would be Yuna and not Durandal. The attack literally comes after the scene after Yuna says that we have to separate Kigali from Athrun and her brother. It seems very targeted, whereas Durandal has no clear motive. I mean, we could say eliminating Lacus for his whole mirror campaign, but that makes little sense to me. For one thing, that only draws the main character's attention, at which point they would tell the people about the fake. Secondly, they were aiming to kill her with shots to the head before they had to get in with their mobile suits, which reads to me that her death was all they wanted, with no care to eliminating the body. If it was Durandal, I'd suspect he'd want the body destroyed as well, as again, the body is evidence of Mir being a fake, to which this reads as a setup to me. And to what you were saying, how did they get there? If it's Orb itself, aka Yuna, they doesn't have to let them in. They're here.
Yeah. Well, I do have also a note about that, which is a follow-up to this one.
I would love if you just read 17 notes back to back because they're all just following a chain of who's responsible.
Yeah. I also find it hard to believe that no one heard multiple explosions and a flying mobile suit, and not even the police showed up to investigate, unless the mansion was on its own, isolated island.
I think it's indicated that it is on its own. Yeah. Not isolated island, just isolated.
Yeah. But still, I mean, we're talking about massive explosions and, because what's her name? Kagali's nanny, basically. Mm-hmm. She drove there.
Right.
So either she was already living in that island.
Oh, sorry. Right? Okay, we're using different definitions of words. When I'm saying isolated, I mean remote.
Oh, yeah, remote. Okay.
Which is to say, you could drive. There's plenty of places in the States you can drive to that you could, you set off an atomic bomb. Las Vegas might not hear you.
Yeah. But it's still rare, though.
Right. Well, the idea is that they wanted to be off by themselves. That's what I figured. So,
yeah.
Yeah, no, again, my counter to your Durandal is responsible for this is that it doesn't make sense to me. I think Durandal's too smart. That literally the best situation for him right now is to not touch this, because if the main characters aren't already aware, then they're not going to interfere. Like, they don't know about Mir, then signaling to them that we have to take Lacus out. Because now their thing is like, why was somebody trying to kill Lacus? Which seems to me what you would do if you wanted to fuck with Durandal. Because otherwise, Durandal has to kill you and make sure there's no body, like nobody to tell anybody about this. And it wasn't like, kill Kira, because Kira's gonna fucking come back about this, or dispose of the body. Because we saw, like, one guy was just aiming for the head, and that's all. It's like, if they were trying to dispose of the body, they'd go in with the mobile suits to begin with. Just take her out completely. They were trying to, like, surgical strike this shit, which does not read how I would imagine Durandal would do this.
Although, the problem then, if it's Orb, where did Orb get the suits? Because, okay, fine. We have what seemed to be a very special... I mean,
Okay.
The stealing of the Gundams included a stealth ship and some guys that were really elite. Like a girl that was
the
like
theft of the Gundams is the false flag operation there too. I know it's a real conspiracy theory to pull false flags all the time, but imagine that stealing the Gundams is the thing that you do to draw attention away from the other shit that we're stealing. You're paying attention to the most valuable thing that we're stealing. You didn't see about the 100 other little things that we stole. But also, bring into this the element of the Atlantic Federation is also our allies here, so we might be able to pull in from their resources, and that's the people that we're stealing shit is the Atlantic Federation.
Except for the fact that they're coordinated special forces, right? Why would the Alliance...
We already know that the Alliance has coordinators. Remember the whole... Yeah, we had a discussion about the fact that Neo was talking about the facility that the 3 new people, which are effectively coordinators, air quotes, effectively coordinators, are like.
Yeah, but
and then we had those from season 1 too.
Yeah, but they don't act like the season 1 characters that were like hoped up and like into drugs and stuff. Like they were like maniacs.
Also, not for nothing, your whole argument about these guys fucking suck if they're coordinators, maybe they're not. Maybe somebody was wrong. Yeah. Well, maybe Waltfield saw people dressed up in special forces outfits. And wielding mobile suits that are only operated by coordinators. Like he came to the natural conclusion, those must be fucking coordinators. But then
I think who said it was Marius. Marius was the one who said it. Wasn't Waltfield. Waltfield talked about the suits. Marius was the one who said,
Marius, the one who's been fighting coordinators the entire time, spotted people that look like zaft and said, fucking coordinators.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume that Waltfield, of all people, would be the one to call them out for not being coordinators, because, he gets fucking stabbed in the arm by a guy that he effectively shoots faster than the other guy can respond. Again, the idea that they might not be coordinators would just be another feather in the cap of my conspiracy idea.
You have a note?
Yuna proposing that Kigali would tell the people that they aren't getting married because of Athrun is some of the stupidest shit. I mean, granted, our modern-day political cycle isn't much better than what Yuna is proposing to happen on that stage, but Kigali could just as easily say that things aren't working out and call off the wedding. I think the real threat Yuna poses is that if she tried to back out of the wedding, he would make an announcement about Athrun that would harm both her and the nation. Like I said, I agree that Kigali is a girl of action, but Yuna keeps sideswiping her with political and social attacks that she's never shown to be able to handle.
Yeah. I really don't have much to say about that. I guess I do agree that Yuna is he's a good social fighter, if you will, right? He is he knows what to say to her. He has an insight on her, and she doesn't know how to protect himself against that.
The point of this note isn't so much about that. I was just like defending the point again. This is some more so towards the conversation they have in the car, where he is like, where he grabs her by the hand and he's like fiddling with the ring, and he goes talking about Athrun, and that what you're gonna do, tell the nation that we're not gonna get married because of Athrun, and that you're gonna side with the plants and where he's at, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, she wouldn't have to say any of that. She'd just say, I'm not happy with you and I'm not getting married, And that's why I'm saying that I feel like the implied threat from him is that, yeah, but I know about Athrun, and I have no reason to keep my mouth shut. I can ruin you politically to everybody in this country, which is only going to hurt the country. So unless you want that to happen, you better keep going.
That's a Yuna thing, definitely. I agree. And that's why I hate him. Anyway, going back to Waltfield. Now we're in chapter 14, at least for me. Flying to tomorrow. Waltfield confirms the mobile suits used by the attackers were top of the line. While there's a possibility that Salah's faction has as much power within SAF to assemble a team of special forces with brand new mobile suits to carry out this mission, killing Lacus only merely for revenge. If they want to take over the plant's council, it would be easy to target Mir, if such a faction even knows that Mir is an imposter, rather than attack Lacus on Earth.
I think that would have been a better argument as to why they would be zaft than the one that you gave, in that they would have the motive, right? Because that's why my debate about Durandal not being responsible is the motive doesn't sync up for me. But a Zala faction would be a large proponent to killing her because she is the final representative of the Seagull faction.
Faction, yeah.
So they killed her dad, but then she ran off and did all this shit. So that would be a thing. Sorry, what was the end of your note again?
If they want to take over the Plants Council, because I'm assuming that the Sala faction exists within Zaft, right? And so they have their own motives and perhaps take over, ultimately, impose Sala's will, which means they'll have to take over the plants, right? If they want to take over the plants, it would be easier to target Mir, who's out in public, right? Everybody sees, if such a faction even knows that Mir is an imposter, rather than attack Lacus on Earth, right?
Sorry, I thought I had a secondary thought to that, but I can't figure out what I was thinking before. Because I think there's an implication there that Orb people know that Lacus is on Earth. A Zala faction, I would have to think, would think that Mir is Lacus, because that's what's being proposed.
That's what I'm saying.
So, yeah, I think... Oh, no, see... that's what I'm saying. I think this is a better dispute to my anti-Durandal thing than what you were saying before, because revenge is a pretty good motivator for it being zaft, especially if it's a Zala faction. Although, sorry, now I've got in my head the comment about if they even exist. Did we invent the Zala faction? Can humans breathe fire? Did we make that up? Yeah. I don't know. Now I'm 50-50. Zala faction or Orb. I'm still think I'm leaning towards Orb because of the narrative structure of how the scenes were set up, that Yuna says the thing about getting rid of them, and then we go into an assassination attempt.
Yeah.
But that is motive for the Zala faction. It wouldn't be who told them.
Yeah. Your next note.
Mr. Pink has to be one of the best Haru. In the first season, he picked locks for Lacus, then served as a clue for Athrun to be able to find her later. And now here he is serving as a security system that essentially saves her life.
Yeah, well, we've seen Harus do that before in other shows. So
have we?
Yeah.
Name one.
Yeah. Haru himself. I serve as an alarm system in Origins of all places.
Did he? Or did he just shout at guys walking into the... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He shouted at guys and then got kicked. And then this Haru actively woke everybody up. And then they saved their lives, because otherwise they just would have been fucking asleep. And they would have been killed. So, original Haru, off the table. You already defeated yourself, essentially. Name another one.
Yeah.
I thought you would go with Witch from Mercury, where the Harus were put on gun pods and they were shooting shit. But even they got defeated. I'm just saying that this one is a multi-purpose Haru. He opens locked doors on enemy ships. He alerts you to danger. He gives out clues to people that are searching for you that you want them to find, and not the other people who are searching to kill you. This is the best Haru. I cannot think of a better Haru. Even evil purple Haru with the master plan from Gundam 00 was not as good as Mr. Pink, who I have to think is a reference to Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. My next note is pretty short, so I guess I could do 2 notes at the back. This one is just a comment. It's not even something to discuss. Absurd underground base is absurdly absurd.
I mean, it was necessary because it holds the Archangel as well.
Yeah, and the freedom and everything else. But it's like, how the hell? I mean,
well,
I can
only
it's
to lock down the freedom because Kira doesn't want to run it again. Lacus doesn't want him running it again. So it's like, we have to get rid of this somehow. So let's put it behind double locked doors with the same nuclear defenses that the silos have for launching nukes.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think I'm talking about resources, and I think the only person that could probably, at least in Orb, who could finance such a thing would be Kagala herself, without anybody else knowing about it.
Well, I mean, plenty of people know about it. It was the thing that we kept talking about.
No, but because that's the thing against Orb, though. Being Orb, because if Orb knew about the Archangel, they would also have sent forces to destroy the Archangel just in case. And they were surprised when the Freedom appears.
Well,
oh no, it's the Freedom, right?
That's because they have the whole older thing at the very end of the episode where all the older military officers are saluting rather than trying to destroy it as Yuna wants them to.
Yeah.
They have accepted the fact that the Archangel is like a savior. That's why they're even saying, please protect Kigali and lead us into the next generation where we don't have to have this war kind of stuff again. So
no, but
I'm assuming
about the
that
special forces attackers, if they're part of Orb, right? And these are people who are willing to kill themselves to keep a secret, right? And shoot Lacus in the head.
That's a matter of resources then. Maybe this is what they were able to field without making it known to everybody what they're up to, right?
But at least if you knew that the Archangel was there, you possibly also probably knew that the Freedom was there, you would take notes to either destroy it or attempted not to taking off, right? Otherwise,
I don't know. It's what you're able to do. Also, we don't know if this is a multi-point plan, I guess, is also a concern. Because why would you bring mobile suits to kill one person if you weren't going to go in there with the mobile suits to try to kill the one person? Yeah. Like you said, the whole Durandal thing of don't leave a body behind, where I think they would have attacked her full bore, all the missiles all at once, kill her while she's in the bed asleep, instead of sneaking in, getting caught. That maybe they brought the mobile suits to destroy the Archangel after the fact. But I don't know, because there's a lot of shit that goes wrong here if you think about this too far. Because also, the Archangel is based on the design that Orb made. So they know everything, basically, about the Archangel. Technically, they kind of made the Archangel in that... I can't remember the name of the corporation. In Season 1, they when the Atlantic Federation is attacking, they say, make sure not to damage this place. Because it's the same place that built the Gundams and everything like that, so they wanted that place captured.
Yeah.
That place is also responsible for making the Archangel. Plus the prototype version that we saw in the first season. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, why would Orb even care? It's like, we can make our own Archangels 100 times, but we're not. So,
I mean, they would care if they want to make sure that nobody escapes the place, right? No
again, maybe if they're limiting the scope of their campaign. To be fair, at this point, the motive doesn't exist for any side. I don't know why anybody did this.
Probably the next arc will probably have an explanation from somebody, hopefully.
Oh yeah, sure. We're gonna wander into Durandal's room and there's gonna be plans sitting on the table for the assassination of Lacus. Or we're gonna wander into Yuna's room where it turns out he's a big fan of Mir and he wants Lacus dead.
He was a fan of Mir before Mir became Lacus too, right?
And he really wants Mir to succeed, so he's planning to kill Lacus. He didn't care how many soldiers die killing that one. I don't actually care about Kira.
So to your next note, then.
So the new opening, not a fan of the music, but the visuals are interesting. We get the normal Kira and Lacus, Athrun and Kigali shots, but then Rey and Neo having a stare down, which is not only new, but two characters that haven't really encountered each other before, beyond that weird spark thing in the early episodes that still hasn't been explained. Then the two Hawk sisters walking away from each other. In Season 1, Ramius and Bad Girl had a similar opening, and Bad Girl wound up dead, so not great implications. Sort of a same thing with Talia and Durandal. Also a shot of Ramius and Waltfield, so I guess maybe you were right about them being in a relationship. This feels like an odd pairing for me. Durka and Yazik are together, but we know that they work as a team now. Again, Shin and Stella, as per previous opening, even though they've barely had any screen time together. Plus, the phone is in the shot too, which I don't know if that's meant to imply anything beyond his inability to move past what happened. Then the annoying drop happens. by which I mean the music becomes insufferable. Then we get a panning shot that stands opposed to both season 1 and this season's dark beach scene of a post-battle shot, which is the ending sequence. This time it's in the light, albeit still with the characters lingering about. Yuna is the very first person in it, staring off towards the light. Then Kira and Lacus. Interestingly, we have Kigali in a flight suit, and the Rose, I think it's either Rose or Rose, is in the background. I can't remember if it has the weird thing over the E. So it looks like she'll be getting back in the suit this arc. We've got Athrun, Shin, Luna Maria, and Rey at the Carpinteria base. The shot from the first opening of Rey with and Neo with Durandal in the middle, also present in this new opening. Marius looking shocked or sad and pointing a gun at an unmasked Neo. Well, because, I think it was the last ending. There was...
She was picking up a mask,
Well, no, there's a mask on the ground, and she was, over top of it. Another first opening shot with Athrun and Mir, while Kigali and Luna Maria do James Gunn, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, James Bond gun poses. Another naked Shin and Stella. Sirius Lacus with Mir in the background playing with Mr. Pink. Sorry, Sirius Lacus is on one side of the screen, and then Mir is on the other side of the screen playing with Mr. Pink. Quick-fire shots of Kigali standing in front of a dock containing orb mobile suits and the Rosé. Waltfield in front of a gold and red mobile suit with very pronounced wings. A new guy with hair I can only describe as similar to Talia's, but pointed down, so the normal way you would expect her hair to go. Standing in front of a gold Zaku, or golden Zaku. A combat shot of a crazed-looking Stella facing down Shin in front of a shot that feels very reminiscent of Devil Gundam from G Gundam. And finally, shots of the Archangel taking off with its assortment of suits, then panning over to the moon to see Athrun and gang in what I assume to be Minerva's assortment of suits.
Of all the things you said, the fact that the sisters seem to be walking away, from the very beginning we said that Minerva is we have the Archangel coming back, but really I think it's still going to be the Minerva who's going to be the hero ship, right? My take is that Archangel's going to get taken out at some point because you're having two hero ships kind of doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it does, actually, because if you think of the first season, the impetus was on Rao's ship with Athrun and gang chasing after the main ship.
Yeah,
and
but
then
we already had that.
And then you have, no, not actually, because we haven't seen, God, Bogey 1 is, I can't remember what its actual name was.
Yeah.
Bogey 1 is what we used to call it. Hasn't been in the show for a long-ass time. It's not, it's not our Rao's ship in this case.
Yeah, well...
Also, if you think about it from the final arc, we also had the Dominion. Yeah. So it's more like the Dominion than it is
Well, because I think what's going to happen is that the Minerva is going to go Archangel. As in, we're going to choose a third route. And that's going to divide the sisters. One is going to stay with Zaft, and the other one is going to stay with the Minerva, whichever happens to be doing
I think one of them's going to die. But I mean, that's just my read on the fact that
that could also happen as well.
Similar thing in the season 1 openings of Bad Girl and Ramius had Bad Girl eventually wind up dead. But I think you're wrong on the fact of I don't think they have to mirror what season 1 did with a single point of character show. I mean, single point of character ship.
Yeah,
that we could just have multiple ships. It's
Minerva and the Archangel working together.
Well, it's an ensemble show with a number of point of view characters, so it doesn't actually matter where anybody is. Like how many times we go back to Athrun, who's on the planets essentially by himself, because Mir isn't actually a main character like Athrun is. Durandal's not really a main character like Athrun is. They're side
we know
characters.
That what's the name of the Faith? He got the uniform and the Faith badge, and he has his two former companions.
Technically, he was in Faith before, so
yeah. So maybe Faith is coming back again,
which maybe third ship.
Yeah,
or Minerva is going to be the Faith ship.
They were assigned to the Minerva. That they say that in.
Well, that's why I brought up the And finally a shot. Then panning over the moon to see Athrun and gang and what... Sorry, I didn't list it all, but it's literally... And gang is Yazik, Durka. Oh, it's I want to say it's Ray. That can't be right. I should have written it down. I can't remember if it's Luna Maria or Ray.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Shin. But fucking, I can't remember anymore. I should have written it down.
But we also remember that in the original intro, no, actually in the outro, the original outro, you see what looks like a crash Archangel. And then we see what looks like either the Freedom or the Impulse with the two, because the blade weapon that the Impulse uses, it's a two-piece. You can separate, and it basically has all the two blades impaled in it. So I thought maybe that would be the Impulse.
Well,
and then we get we get Chin a mid-season upgrade, and the Archangel was destroyed.
As I said in the opening of this one, though, we get the opposite of that dark beat shot, which is the light beat shot, which people, I don't know. So like I said, you're bringing up that crash thing. Seems like we're already inverting that in this season, or this arc, or whatever we're doing. But again, to me, the main points of the opening are, one, again, Ramius staring down a unmasked Neo and her face shot. So, I mean, these are things to pay attention to when we get into the actual episode. And then the two new Zaku-looking things. One's a golden red one, and what's a golden Zaku from New Guy and Waltfield. So I expect Waltfield's going back on the field. He even says it during one of the episodes we recently watched. When she says, "Shouldn't you be in the captain seat, Commander Waltfield?" I haven't
noted about that yet.
Well, I'm just maybe it should be your next one because I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, we're down one pilot anyway, and I might be called out onto the field again, so I'm going to be here. You be captain." And here he is in the opening, standing in front of a golden Zaku. So very clearly, he's going to get called out into the field again, like he just said.
Yeah. I still believe that Neo is either a not dead first love from Marius, or she's a clone of Mula Flaga, and it's like either way, she knows who he is. He recognizes the face.
We've thrown out clones a lot based on the fact that season 1 had one clone in it.
Yeah, but an important one. Sort of.
Not really. It was a clone of Mula Flaga's dad, a character we've only seen in flashback and picture form.
Yeah. So my next note about that scene with Ramius. Whatfield giving the captain shares to Ramius confirms to me that he, at the very least, has deep respect for her, and perhaps something more.
She was the captain of the Archangel.
Yeah, I know, but the fact that she's like, no, you have more experience, you should be the chair. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I have other things to do. She was hesitant, and there's a conversation before that, like he invites her to go to the plants, like, oh, hey, you should be in the plants, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I got to go back to the plants and you stay here. It's no, come with me, right? And then when after the attack is like, well, I guess we can't go to the plants anymore. Not I can't go to the plants, it's we can't go to the plants, right?
Well, because they all just got fucking attacked. The idea is that they think that Zaft just attacked them. The we isn't like a romantic, well, if you're not going, I'm not going. It's we all just got attacked by a place that we were planning to go to.
And when he is talking to her about going to the plants, the camera pans to a picture of Watfield's ex-lover. Like, I don't know, either she's naked or she's wearing like a very low cut. I think he always wear like a very low cut.
Could be either or. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. She showed, if you didn't remember, or I don't know if the movie showed it, she's the one that brings Kigali to get dressed up in a dress when they bring her to the mansion.
Yeah. That was in the movie, yeah.
Yeah, but she was also dressed in like a very skin-tight outfit there, too.
Yeah, so it could be both. And, she's looking over her shoulder like, why are we panning out to his former lover that died in combat?
Because they've done it many times. Also, when he was thanking Patrick Zala for rescuing him and bringing him back from the dead, the camera also pans to her. Is your implication that Routfield was in a romantic relationship with Patrick Zala? Same exact sequence of events.
I
He's
think
talking to Patrick over the communication. He says, "I'll do anything that you want me to do. I have to pay you back for saving my life and bringing me back from the dead." And then the camera pans to her. I think it's the same exact portrait because they probably only had that one thing drawn of her.
Yeah.
And then, because though it's the same exact thing of, "I'm going to go wherever you tell me to go." Same thing he's having with Ramius. So your implication is that he lost his love, and then Patrick didn't want to go out with him. And now he's like, "Ramius, how about it? You like coffee, right?"
Yeah. But I think it has some importance. I mean, it could be both. In that sense, it's like he's remembering what he recently lost and what it took for him to be brought back
I
to life.
already said that I think you're probably right. It just seems weird to me that he would just go this way. Also, that they haven't really spent any time together other than this time skip.
Which is what, 6 months?
Yeah, but that's not how you introduce a relationship out of the blue between characters you've established through an entire season. You know, show us something. Like, put pictures of them going on picnics along that banner thing too.
I think I think the implication is that they have been working together, and slowly but surely, at least from Watfield's, I think, side, is like,
I get it.
You know what?
But I don't need implication. I need evidence, right?
Yeah, but we're still early in the series. We could still have a lot more, or
early
nothing
in the
at
series. All. Yeah, maybe, but
it's 50 episodes someplace, right?
Yeah,
like
no, I mean, I'm not arguing that point. It's just that we're past the point of giving us evidence at that point if you're already making implications. Right? Give us something. Like I said, I just like a picture on the fireplace or whatever. Just, hey, remember that time we went out and did the thing? Because I mean, I believe in Grace and Osmo's relationship more when they were faking it in across frontier than whatever the hell this is.
Yeah, but we already knew that they had it past.
Yeah, you know how? They keep alluding to it.
Yeah.
Versus this is, you like the coffee, it was better yesterday. Ha ha ha. Audience laughs. Move on to next scene.
Yeah. So what's your next note?
I think it's obvious why Kigali doesn't just run off from the Siren estate like she would have in Season 1. In Season 1, she wasn't in charge like she is now. Her father ran things, and she was free to do the whole runaway princess thing and try to make the changes in the world that she wanted to see on her own. Now that he's gone, she feels that responsibility weighing her down, and she doesn't know what to do as the arguments being levied against her are no longer what is wrong and what is right, but what she should do for the sake of her people and the welfare of her country in the face of the mounting aggressions from either side. Figuratively, it feels like her hands are tied, as her closest allies are actually far away, and the people claiming to be her allies are clearly working against her. I feel like she is just riding the wave until she feels like she'll have an opportunity to do something. For me, it's not a matter of her being the headstrong Kigali that we knew before. It's easy to be headstrong when you've got nothing tying you down and your enemy is literally just someone trying to fight you. This present situation is almost exactly the opposite of what we've seen her deal with before.
I agree. I still think that they may have written her to be a little too passive.
I have a further comment about that as it relates to a different character, which I feel like she's being not disenfranchised. She's being thrown in the garbage to elevate somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know who you might be talking to, but when you bring it up, I'm probably
talking to you.
Yeah, I'm talking to me, but not about the person that you're saying that's being thrown to the garbage. That's what I'm talking about.
I'll give you a hint. It's a character I don't like.
Ah, okay. I think I know. Well, my next point is to Yuna again. And this is, again, sort of comment on his behavior rather than making any point. Although we already talked about how there was some logic to what he was doing. Yuna first cowering behind Kigali and then running in fear from the freedom will never not be funny to me.
Yeah, like I said, I count that as stuff that you just shit on Yuna about.
Yeah.
Remember Kigali, Girl of Action, right? If you're standing next to like world's greatest warrior, and you are, well, let's face it, you might,
Yeah.
you might like, hey, go get him, you know. So I think you're looking at it in too much of a traditional men and women's roles in society to think, oh, that a guy shouldn't cower behind a woman. Well, if he's scared and she's a warrior, then maybe he thinks she can do something here. So again, I don't shit on Yuna for being a coward if he's a coward. Cowards are cowards, right? And she is a girl of action. If we keep propping her up as this amazing woman who can do these things, then to believe other characters in the world also believe she's an amazing person who can do these things. I'm not going to shit on them for believing that. He didn't act like you keep pushing forward. Oh, he shoved her forward and things like that. No, he cowers behind her. And in the same scene, he's like, shoot them down. They've got Kigali. And he seems actually afraid that they've captured this person. Like I said, it is very Lifetime movie of the week of Yuna to be like possessive of a person that he might actually be in love with, right? Sleeping with the enemy would be a really good example of I am the worst person in the world for this woman, but I love her so much I will never let anybody else have her. Which is not great defense for Yuna, but I'm just saying it is very not relatable.
If he's
That's
so
not the word I would use.
and she's been kidnapped, and they're gonna get married, it's like
I'm
maybe I don't
possessive due to the whole language thing he keeps throwing out there. That he's very much trying to demonstrate his control over her. That's where I think the possessiveness is coming from.
Okay, if it's just fear, I can see him like grabbing her and running away. Like, let's run away, right? Like, oh shit.
Well, the thing comes down right in front of the stairs. He has nowhere to run unless he's planning to jump off a ziggurat.
Oh, he actually runs off, so he went somewhere, you know.
Maybe
it's
behind
a
one of the pillars, I don't know.
If it's a cigarette, really, unless it's a half cigarette.
No, it's like in Aztec cigarette, which has a stairway, but it also has just like these deep. Yeah,
so it should have 4 stairways.
It doesn't though, because it's built into like a crevice. So the other stairwells, if they had built them, wouldn't have anywhere to go. Like I said, that's why I like it to like the Oracle of Delphi situation. In which case, it's like a one-way appearance because it's supposed to be very much guiding you towards this one person.
Anyway, I still find it funny. You go ahead.
I think the disappointing thing about where Kigali is now is that they did something similar to Lacus. Lacus was the idol that pushed for peace, but when push came to shove, she helped start a rebellion and then captained a warship. She went from someone who dealt with stuff Kigali is now being thrust into someone like who Kigali was. Now, Kigali is being pushed down the opposite Lacus trajectory and having a problem with it. There could be a narrative there that it's easier to go from a social thing and become a warrior than it is to be a warrior and become social, or some such thing. But if that were the case, then I feel like they are failing in holding up the mirror between Lacus and Kigali in this respect. I guess that, and I like Kigali and haven't been a fan of Lacus.
Lacus has been pretty passive. Well, so has Kira for like the first 6-7 episodes.
Well, remember when we first met Lacus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she just went with the flow, right? Kind of like Kigali is doing now, to the point where Lacus was taken hostage aboard a ship, right? We're going to lock you up. We're going to badmouth coordinators in front of you. Essentially everything Kigali is going through right now. And then she develops into a headstrong person like Kigali used to be. So, like I said, they're just reversing the roles here, except that Kigali's eating shit right now, where Lacus is smelling the roses. I don't know what the metaphor I'm going for here is, but
she's now part of the crew of the.
That's what I'm saying. Is that Lacus is successfully doing the inversion that Kigali seems to be going through right now, except instead Kigali's becoming a damsel in distress rather than what Lacus turned into. So that's the problem I'm having here, is that we're turning the warrior woman into the socialite, except that she's having a hard time of it and not being able to do it. Versus the socialite, we turned into a warrior woman and just fucking dandy.
Yeah. So my name, no. It's about the kidnapping. Again, it's more a personal take on it. You don't have. You probably won't agree with it. In fact, I'm pretty much sure that a lot of people are not going to agree with it, but I'm still going to say it anyway. Yes, Kira kidnapped Kigali, but if it means my moral compass is broken, I approve of this action. It feels right. It isn't right because he did it. Literally, she sent a letter saying, "I'm okay. Just do whatever you got to do, but I'm doing what I need to do here." In other words, don't come looking for me because that's the last thing you should do. And her brother just goes like, "Fuck you, you're my twin sister, I'm gonna rescue you." And I'm like, that's wrong, but I still approve.
To the moral compass argument thing, you can do things. You can do the wrong thing for the right reason and the right thing for the wrong reason, right? I know we've had this discussion before about defeating segregation.
Yeah.
Was it South Carolina where that they had to bring in the National Guard in order to escort
Mississippi, I think it was,
4 black kids into a desegregated school where we're obviously doing the right thing against the wishes of everyone around us, right? To the point where we have to fight with force to ensure that the right thing is done. So, and that's what I'm saying, on the basis of what is the morally right thing to do here. And it doesn't actually apply to the situation because we're kidnapping a girl against her will. But there are things that you can do when you know what the right thing is, regardless of what the people around you wish to happen.
I think we have to wait until the narrative confirms or denies whether this is the right thing to do.
Oh, I think it's the wrong thing to do. I think it's the wrong thing to do on a political level because it puts Yuna in charge.
Yeah.
Right, so kidnapping Kigali, great character moment. Horrible world-building moment. Because now Yuna is free reign to do whatever. Because, drama narrative, Yuna's going to claim, yeah, no, she said it. She agreed at the last moment that she was going to marry me. We're married now. So even though she's kidnapped, I have the full authority of, my position in government. Now let's start doing the things that I want done. Drama narrative. Political movement, he could probably just claim it either way. We were destined to be married anyway. It was prearranged. Even though she got kidnapped, I'm obviously the next in line. Whatever. So now the evil people are in charge. Thanks, Kira.
Yeah.
Saved your sister, damned a couple thousand, 100,000, 100 million, I don't know. Whatever the population of Orb is.
Tens of millions if it's based on
yeah, no, that's why I jumped to 2 million after I kept saying thousands. I was trying to say thousands, millions, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. My brain just that Saturday morning robot from that 70s TV show. Whatever that girl's name was the name of the show.
I'm a Teenage Robot?
No, it's the one where his dad makes a younger sister for him. That's a robot.
Oh, that's an 80s.
She's got the panel thing on her back, but she would constantly shut down in the middle of just.
Yeah, she was like a doll, a living doll thing. Yeah, I get it. It's the 80s, but I don't remember when.
I wouldn't use the word doll because modern ages have made real dolls, which is not the. My dad made a real doll for me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for as right as I think Shin is, and as much as I side with him in every confrontation he's had with Kigali, every one of his arguments that she remembers is what's pushing her to do what Yuna says. Standing on principles and idealism is what got his family killed. The Siren argument is that it's better to be alive and under the thumb than to have a bunch of citizenry with Shin's experience and loss. It's a very real position to be in, choosing between these two things, and I appreciate the show is doing this much to make it feel like a real problem, rather than doing the very anime thing of rushing in to what seems morally right without considering the very real cost to the people that aren't protected by protagonist plot armor.
I guess that.
Yeah, Kigali is willing to sacrifice her happiness and well-being to be in the position to make calls that she's not actually making, but to be there to prevent things from going wrong. And she's remembering Shin, calling down her family's morals and idealism versus the well-being of their people. And that's why she's doing this shit. Versus Kira, who's doing the anime thing of rushing in and making a split-second decision without, a Gurren Lagann call, actually, What do you mean they're all gonna die? And you have Rossio, who is like, I've got to sacrifice 100 million people so that at least 1 million people will survive the destruction of the Earth. Rossio making the hard choices, whereas the Gurren Lagann crew are just rushing out to fight no matter what. Kira is rushing out to save his sister no matter what, despite the fact that it's going to damn Orb.
I kind of have a note about that, but I kind of agree with you. But I'm going to go into the next note because it might be relevant to this. So I'm just going to jump into that, which is my final note anyway. The ship's captain's salute at the end might be read as Juna not really having that much, or not having as much control over the military as he thinks he has. In other words, just because Juna, technically speaking, might be in control, and the people in the command center agree with him the way they looked at Kigali, the people on the field, on the other hand, might not go along with it. So this situation might get very complicated very fast, in that there might be people who might rally to Kigali, right? Her name anyway, in opposition to the new government. So you might end up in a situation where you may have an Orb civil war or close to it.
I mean, it goes to the previous discussion that we've had before about what power Kigali has, and you keep saying that she has no power because she's not using it. And I'm saying that she has potential power because she has the authority, right? And you say the people in the control room don't side with her because they looked at her a certain way, and it's like, I don't know. To me, they're looking at her the same way that mom and dad are fighting again, right? Kigali could say something, and then I think they would have to do what Kigali says, but Kigali is being pushed back under the weight of a social dispute that she's unused to fighting. She doesn't say anything, and they just go back to work doing what Yuna says. Well, the same thing you're saying now is that there might be a faction of older military people that are willing to do whatever Kigali says. Potential power. Kigali just not using it. So, assumedly, if they're going to do whatever they're going to do in Kigali's name, that's still Kigali's authority, Kigali's power being expressed, just not by her.
Maybe she doesn't realize she had that power, or she was afraid of the consequences. Going back to your point, right? That if whatever she did against this would be more harmful than going along, at least in her mind, with what Juna was going to do. Even though Juna tells her, we got to get rid of these coordinates, including your brother. I was like, okay, that doesn't sound pretty pleasant, does it? Again,
I think it's just a matter of her inexperience and not knowing when to pull the trigger on. Because, it feels like whatever she does, the moment she does something, it's going to pull the trigger on change. And she has to figure out when the right moment is to do anything.
And face the consequences, either way.
Yeah. Because there's not going to be any chance that the Sirens aren't going to fight back against whatever she does. So it might be a case of I'm only going to be able to be effective one time before the fight comes for me, and then I'm going to be dragged down into political, whatever. And so I better make the first shot count.
Yeah. I think it's more that she doesn't realize that she actually has that kind of power. And and even if she does, like I said, she's too afraid of the consequences to pull that trigger.
Yeah, like I said, I've always been on the side of Kigali has all the power. She just doesn't have the will to use it just yet. All right, well, I have 2 notes left. So Archangel crew members that haven't returned, Romero, Pal, and Jackie Tanomura, which were just bridge officers from season 1.
Yeah.
Cy Argyle thus far is MIA from the show, and Moralia Haw, we know from the opening and a single shot from a previous episode, appears to be doing war correspondence, war reporting now, war photography.
Yeah.
All right. And my last note, the ending credits. I said this last time that each person's significant other passes them by in the middle point as they scroll up and down the screen, with smaller figures of characters in between them. Like the Hawk sisters are small figures in between other characters that still pass by one another in the middle to represent their connection. And passing by middle figures, we have Shin and Stella, Atherin and Kigali, Talia and Durandal. Now, here's a confusing one. Marius on one side, but we have a small Waltfield, indicating that he's a side character in these, with instead the large figure she crosses being Neo. While Kira and Lacus cross, Mir is in the lineup, and out of place from the two smaller Sting and Owls that cross each other. I think Mir is crossing with Lacus as well, implying a relationship to be formed there.
Again, I think it might go to that, like, Remius knows who is or finds the face of the real Neo recognizable, and he's overshadowing Watfield in this case, right? Whatever might be happening between Watfield and Remius is getting overshadowed by a figure from her past.
It does. I mean, like I said, the fact that we have the smaller figures going by implies that they're not the main things going on, and the fact that Walfield is small when Neo comes up.
Yeah, and also explains why he would be wearing the mask, because I think everybody would recognize him. Just like, what was his name? This other guy, Ro. Oh man, I'm blanking on that.
Ro, fight the power.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I know what you're talking about, obviously.
Yeah. Was hiding his face because he literally was a clone of somebody else who.
Yeah, we already talked about him earlier in this conversation as well.
Yeah, so who was a rich person.
Although I would argue that nobody will recognize him because the guy he's a clone of is fucking nobody, at least to the viewers' respect.
I mean, people in power might recognize him. He was supposed to be a very rich person, very, influential person.
Never shown that, nobody treats his other son that way.
Oh, until he grows up and becomes part of the leader of the Blue Cosmos and by extinction of the Alliance. So maybe.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Isn't he? No.
He's not related to Azrael at all. That's what you're talking about. No. That's what I'm talking about. Like, he doesn't do that at all. What are you talking about?
But Mullah Flag is already an ace. But I don't think he would be an ace on his own. That doesn't mean his father would recognize. I think people in power might recognize him. That's why he wore.
I don't know at all. That's what I'm saying. His dad is never shown to be anybody with any authority.
That's your final note?
Yeah, I said that. I was waiting to see if you said anything else.
No, that's it.
All right, well, I guess we should go ahead and hop on into it then.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, that's a nasty thing to say.
What?
That's an awesome dress. Like, yeah, she's totally your sister, dude.
You remember a conversation we had about Char's final words to Sayla, and you were like, no, that's fine. Yeah. You're being weirdly taking offense to this one. Do you not know where they already left? Because Atherin isn't up to date on the goings on at Orb.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
I don't know why. It's not like there's been like a radio silence. Well, I mean, you could tell me you don't believe me. That would be communication. Well, it really seems like you're at war with Zaft. You're actively in a shooting war with Zaft right now.
Yeah.
Are you, though? It really doesn't seem like you are. But to be fair, this other guy is not lying. Kigali's not here. You can't talk to the representative. Yeah, it's like legit. Stop fucking shooting at me.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I said before that I fucking hate. They're all fucking red and white. Make it more confusing, please. Yeah, I have no problem with this part of the opening.
Yeah.
It's the drop that comes. So like I said, this is confusing because they haven't had that antagonism. That's the way Stella looks at Atherin. Sorry, Shin. Do remember, though, that we still have to talk over the opening.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that song is, I mean, they're going for that early 2000s rock.
As it was Yuna on the far left there.
Yeah.
And no, it's
Yeah.
very much they're trying to copy Impulse, which is to say start with something classical and then go with something very much not.
Yeah.
See, there you have the sad or shocked face.
Yeah.
James Bond guns.
That's Kigali with a gun, I guess.
Well, yeah. That was also Miralakis. The thing is here that I have to cover this up as well, so just describing what we see is a very poor way to talk over the intro.
True. Yeah, but it goes to your note. Okay, but wait a minute. Well, I guess he couldn't detect the Archangel because it went underwater.
Well, he's also looking for the Minerva, not the Archangel.
Yeah, true.
But I don't understand why he doesn't know that Minerva's not here. Oh, right. I forgot the guy was trying to do laser communications from inside of a building. Yeah, fucking idiot that guy was. But still, well, I guess if you just assume they're still there. I guess that implies that they haven't gotten to Carpentaria yet.
No. I haven't reached.
Sorry, did they? I guess they have orb uniforms on hand.
Well, she's angry about it.
As she should be.
Yeah.
それは分かっちゃいるんだけど。
でも仕方ないじゃない。こんな状況の時にかがりにまでバカなことをされたらもう世界中が本当にどうしようもなくなっちゃうから。バカなこと？キラ。
I have to think that marrying Yuna would be the least of the two evils.
何がバカなことだと言うんだ。私はオーブの代表だぞ。私だっていろいろ悩んで考えて。
それで決めた大西洋連邦との同盟やセイランさんとの結婚が本当にオーブのためになるとかがりは本気で思ってる。
I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah.
当たり前だ。でなきゃ
is it the best thing for the world? No. Best thing for the citizens of Orb? Yeah.
市長たちの言う通り、オーブは再び国を焼くわけになんかいかない。
Yeah, so I'm saying Shin's influence here. But Shin's not wrong either.
今はこれしか道はないじゃないか。
でもそうして焼かれなければ他の国はいいの？
Well, all the other countries are allied to this one, so
Yeah.
technically...
ことになってもそれはいいの？
いや、それはでも
宇住さんの言ったことは
でも
かがりが大変なことは分かってるよ。今まで
So you're saying it's alright for Orb to burn, so long as the plants don't burn.
でも今ならまだ間に合うと思ったから僕たちにもまだいろいろなことは分からない。
So, in our not understanding things, we're gonna force our will upon you.
みんな同じだよ。選ぶ道を間違えたら行きたいところへは行けないよ。
Here's my problem. Is that Kira is the main character of the show, so obviously he's gonna be fucking
Yeah.
right at the end. No matter
Yeah.
how wrong he is right now, he's gonna stumble his way into right.
Or the show will bend itself to make him right,
一緒
right?
に行こう。
キラ
Kigali, I want you to abandon all of your responsibilities to the safety and well-being of your people. Because we're right, you're
僕
wrong.
たちは今度こそ正しい答えを見つけなきゃなんないんだ。きっと
See,
逃げないでね。
Kigali Girl of Action right now would have punched him in the face. This isn't a
Yeah.
social awkwardness moment. This is a you kidnapped me moment.
Yeah. Oh, I guess they made it to Carpet.
Yeah. Why did they?
Yeah.
Are they like blocking the signals for the whole world or something?
ミネルヴァの修理ってもうじき終わるんでしょ？
Or is Laser Guy just fucking
まあ
stupid?
ね。じゃあいつ執行命令出るかわかんないじゃない。やっぱ今
So the sisters.
はあ、あ、そう。何がなんでそんなにいるんだか知らないけど。よかったわね。
でも今度こそ戻れんだよな。プラントってか宇宙へさ。だろうね。
I don't know.
He looks like he's eating the paper. I know he's like eating like a rice bowl or something.
Feels like
but,
the Earth places would need all the help they could get. Like you shouldn't go
Yeah.
back to space just yet.
だって核なんか撃たれちゃってさ。お袋たちのことを心
I'm actually surprised they didn't try to nuke the Earth locations. Just wipe them off the face of, well, the Earth.
Maybe they're afraid that they have the same defenses here as well. They don't know how it stopped the last attack. I am the piano man. Oh, great. He's gonna have. Oh, Mr. Conehead here.
Yeah, it's like the Pinhead Gundam.
Oh,
The
Sakura, I think.
Bishop Bud Gundam.
Yeah. Oh, there he
Catherine?
is. Yeah.
So it's easy to tell that one against all the green Zakus and shit, but in
Yeah.
Orb, where they're all white and red,
Yeah.
なんなのこの新型。一体誰？
he calls himself Dino.
Yeah. You allowed a new ship to come in and didn't know who it was? Oh, that's a big
I'm
symbol.
sure the guys on the bridge know who it was.
Yeah.
アスランさん。
認識番号285002特務隊フェイス所属アスランザラ上官許可を
Wait a second, that's the number you gave the Orb guys. I thought that meant like you were the Orb citizen number.
なんだよこれは。一体どういうことだ。
もう口の利き方に気をつけなさい。彼はフェイスよ。
You know, as in just gotta have.
なんであんたが。
シン。
Sorry, this is really like the idea of
doesn't care.
argumentative,
He's
Shin, argumentative Shin just back from McDonald's.
Yeah. Now he realizes who's this.
あ、
He's
そう。
like,
あ、
oh,
艦長は環境ですか？
Okay, he saluted him because he saw the badge, not because he saw who he was talking to.
Yeah,
right?
he recognized, he respects
Faith.
the zaft. Yeah.
そういうことになるね。なんでです？
Hey, remember when I outranked you? Still happening.
Yeah.
Go back to McDonald's.
でもなんで急に復隊されたんですか？なんてとっても聞いてみたいんですけど、いいですか？
Yeah, you already asked anyway. Oh, do you mind to answer the question that I already asked you?
ちょっとプラントに行って議長にお会いして。それよりミネルヴァはいつ応募出たんだ？俺何も。
Well, it turns out our communication officer was blind that fucking day.
大丈夫でした？あの国今はもう。
スクランブルかけられたよ。
なんだか芯が起こるのもちょっとわかる気がします。めちゃくちゃですよ、あの国。オーブ出るとき、私たちがどんな目にあったと思います？地球軍の艦隊に待ち伏せされて、ほんと死ぬとこだったわ。芯が頑張ってくれなきゃ間違いなく沈んでました、ミネルヴァ。
けど、カガリがそんな。
私も前はちょっと憧れてた。
Are you gonna mention the fact that Kigali came to the ship to see you off and apologize? Maybe these guys don't know. Talia could say something though.
結婚？
ちょっと前にそうニュースで。
Oh, I was right. He's gonna claim that the marriage went through.
Yeah.
Technically, the priest is one of the few people that ran away first, so he would know what she said.
でも式の時だか後だかにさらわれちゃって、今は行方不明。とかって話も聞きました。よくわからないんですけど。
Oh yeah, she was kidnapped.
Yes,
I'm confused why you're confused. We had a whole discussion about this.
Yeah, I know.
あなたをフェイスに戻し、最新鋭の機体を与えてこの船によこし、私までフェイスに？一体何を考えてるのかしらね、議長は。それにあなたも。
申し訳ありません。
You don't know?
別に謝る。
I guess you were not that intimate with him, I guess. He doesn't share those details with you.
この命令内容はあなた知ってる？
いえ、自分は聞かされておりません。
そう。なかなか面白い内容よ。
We're to hunt down the Archangel because there can only be one of us in the show.
ミネルヴァは出撃可能になり次第、ジブラ
Oh,
ルタ
the
ル
other zaft
スエ
base.
ズ攻略を行っている駐留軍を支援せよ。
スエズの駐留軍支援ですか？我々が。
ユーラシア西側の紛争もあって今一番ゴタゴタしてるところよ。確かにスエズの地球軍拠点はジブラルタルにとっては問題だけど、何も私たちがここから生かされるようなものでもないと思うわね。
It's funny, it's kind of the reverse of season 1.
Yeah.
Because the Archangel had to go from North Africa to Orb. They went by sea, so they passed by Carpentera, or Carpentera forces. But the threat was they couldn't go the other direction because Gibraltar was in the way.
言いなりにされている感のあるユーラシアから一部の地域が分離独立を叫んで揉め出したのよ。
Oh.
つい最近のことよ。知らなくても無理ないわ。
開戦の頃からですよね。
I feel like this is how we're making Kira right. Oh, the Atlantic Federation's up to this shit. Oh, you didn't know?
そんなことはもうごめんだというのが抵抗している地域の住民の言い分よ。それを地球軍側は力で制圧しようとし、かなりひどいことになってるみたいね。
I wonder if we're gonna meet Sahib again.
そこへ行けということでしょ?
From the Desert Dawn.
Oh, okay, so now the position of the plans that they're gonna defend people who want to break away from the Alliance, right?
下手に介入はできないでしょうけど、行かなくてはならないのはそういう場所よ。しかもフェイスである私たち二人が。 覚えておいてね。
Why you look so angry, Arthur?
はい。
Because you gave us this bad news about our new mission?
オーブのことを艦長は何かご存知でしょうか？
え？
自分は何も知らなかったものですから。
ああ、今大騒ぎですものね。代表がさらわれたとかで。オーブ政府は隠したがってるみたいだけど、代表をさらったのはフリーダムとアークエンジェルという話よ。
There's an awful lot of recapping done this season.
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't that much the last first season.
I think it's a different director, and I heard a comment that that he prefers to do a lot of this stuff, right? He knows that Kigali and Kira are brother and sister. They're twins. He knows that much.
I don't know why she didn't tell him about Kigali coming to see them off, though.
Yeah.
Worth saying.
Was she also a member of Faith originally?
No.
Was she?
That's what she just said, that you came and made me a member of Faith now, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you seem thrilled about it? Because he seemed really angry about it.
Yeah.
じゃあ俺たちは？
関係ねえよ。あのな、フェイスってのはな、個人が任命されるもんなの。
え？
なんで知らないんだよ、お前はもう。個人的に戦績著しく、かつ人格的に資格ありって表現。
This sort of sound like Mass Effect here.
Yeah.
Get appointed by the council.
You can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
評議会直属のザクトのトップエリートだぜ。なんでお前が関係あんの？
Hope they'll get on a.
Oh, I think.
They all
Okay.
get to be put on a ship together so that we don't answer the hail.
Here's I think what's gonna happen. They go to the nation. Arthur realizes what's going on, and is forced to intervene because he's piloting the savior. Tries to save people, and you know.
They really keep pushing the. There might be something between Lunamaria and Atherin, but they're never together in the opening or endings.
Yeah. I think it.
しょうがないというか、私だったらそんなの絶対嫌だけど。で、
君何かよ。
あ、私ルナマリアです。ルナマリアホーク、ザクオーリアのパイロットです。この機体は最新鋭ですよね。変形機構を持ってる。
So nothing about state secrets or anything, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah.
Wasn't a bad shot though. I mean, I'll give
No,
him
I
that.
don't
It was
know.
well
But it's
drawn.
still like, what the?
I thought she was gonna fall in or something. I didn't think we were gonna get a
Panty shot. Yeah.
Well, I've been thinking this whole time. It's weird that her outfit's like the only one with a skirt, but
yeah.
新しいプラグインですね。
ああ。
明朝ですか？
ええ。カーペンタリアにも司令部から命令が来ててね。ボズゴロフ級を一隻つけてくれるそうよ。
Joy.
はあ、じゃないでしょ、朝。
Submarines on this show go down as fast as every other show.
準備始めて。
Hey, December.
Young Bull Jones. Yeah, that doesn't sound like. Oh, there she is. So.
なんだ？このお嬢ちゃんはよ。おい、寄せって。こんなとこで何してんの？ね
海。ん？見てるの。好き。だから。
はあ？おい、寄せってそいつ。変なやつだな。まあいいや。ちょっと一緒に来いよ。
Someone's gonna get stabbed.
Oh no.
Or shot. I was gonna get stabbed though.
第81独立機動軍でさ。ぼーっとしてっけどさ、そいつもキレッとマジ怖いよ。
Ah, Phantom Pain, not Bogey 1 anymore.
No, yeah. Oh, it's the unit, it's Phantom Pain.
Well, Phantom Pain was the name of the ship.
Yeah. I mean, Bogey 1 wasn't given them by...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is all I can remember is Bogey 1.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember Phantom Pain.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, she's also the other one, the skirt.
Yeah. Whatever the magazine is, it seems to be terribly interesting.
どの道オーブには戻れないんだし。
There goes the music.
Pretty sure it was called High and Mighty, which, you know, Shin's reading it.
I think somebody's gonna die from the crew, from the mobile suits this time around.
Which one? Who?
We don't know, but somebody
Who's
thinks
little
it's
kitten?
something. I think Minerva.
Who?
What do you mean? Who?
Which person is little kitten?
No, I think it's the Minerva period. It's
No,
the ship,
no, I
not-
think when Neo's talking about people, it's about people.
A kitten is a kitten, not a person, so it could be about anything. It's an analogy for somebody, you know.
Yeah, kitten's a kitten, not a person. It's an analogy for somebody. Yes, a person. Somebody is a person. I feel like it took you 5 minutes to get back around to what I'm saying.
It could be a thing as well.
Yes, but you've already agreed with me that it's somebody. By the way, I don't think these were shots from the one that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Maybe I was paying too much attention to the people. Anyway, I do still think, as to part of your thing, Kitten is a person.
再び始まる戦闘。それはかつて、そしてすでに見慣れた光景。生き残るためか、成し得るためか。振り下ろす剣の向こうに、シンとアスランが見るものは。次回、機動戦士ガンダムシードデスティニー。インド洋の死闘。高まく波に、撃て、アビス。
Did I miss something?
Let me miss something. I don't know.
Did they just leave Gibraltar, or are they going to Gibraltar still?
I think they're going to Gibraltar.
Okay, so never mind. I didn't miss anything. Sorry, I was forgetting where we were. I forgot Carpentaria base is in Australia, or just off Australia, so they have to go through the Indian Ocean to get to Gibraltar, which is itself in the Mediterranean. So that's where I was thrown off. I was like, where are they right now to be in the Indian Ocean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I also, for some reason, thought that maybe they were going east towards Gibraltar.
No, they would have to go. If it's Australia, they would have to go to the Pacific and then through the Atlantic.
Right, I don't know exactly which far would be shorter. Across the Pacific and the Atlantic?
I think you want to avoid being close to land masses, because that would be probably Alliance forces that could try to intercept you.
I just don't know. For some reason, I guess got totally lost on where we were for them to be going to the Indian Ocean, because I think I thought they were at Gibraltar already, and if their operation was in Europe, why would you be in the Indian Ocean? So that's why I was saying, if they're still at Carpentaria going to Gibraltar, then that makes sense.
They would go through the Suez Canal, secure the Suez Canal, and from there, probably help the Western European nation. I don't know which one will be. Or a European nation. I don't know if it's a Western European nation. I don't remember.
I don't know.
But the battle of this might be in the Suez Canal, and it looked like they were liberating some people.
Well, obviously they're not, though, because it's a struggle in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, but they were ripping a fence off. So Why were they ripping that
Clearly,
fence
it's the fence that separates the Mediterranean from the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's how it works.
Look, man, I don't know. The episode's fucking called Struggle in the Indian Ocean. All I can tell you is that there was also a sub that's going with them. So very clearly, also if they're heading to Gibraltar, they can't get there yet if they're getting into a fight in the Indian Ocean.
No, I guess it's going to take a couple of episodes.
That would be a hell of a time jump.
Yeah.
To Indian Ocean because then season 1, they got into a fight in roundabout the Indian Ocean, and it took them like 3 more episodes to get to Orb.
Oh,
then again, though, they went. Atherin went from Orb to Carpentaria in less than an episode.
Yeah, but if you're going supersonic, it would take you less than a day. So yeah,
sure. Also, Minerva is also a spaceship, so literally could pop up out of the atmosphere, let the Earth rotate underneath you at a couple thousand miles per hour, and just come back down again.
Yeah, they'll do that though, for some reason.
Right.
Yeah, why is the Minerva still waterbound? I guess it can't really. I mean, it should be able to go to space. Otherwise, it's stuck on Earth.
Well, probably because they assigned it a submarine, which can't but go the one path.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, I guess that's everything then. So once again, I've been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?